All right, nerds, so this is the music section where we talk about usually like rock and metal things and sometimes whatever the hell a bad baby is. This week is kind of packed. We have Billy Corgan elaborating on his performance for the Ozzy farewell show, who he's going to be performing with and whatnot. We have Killswitch Engage releasing some of their most unhinged music in a number of years. We have a new mysterious band called President that just got booked on one of the largest festivals in the world without any following. We're going to talk about that. There's really so much to get into, so let's not waste any more time. Grab your dubby, kick up those speakers, and let's jump into the chaos. Welcome, nerds, to the Clips channel. If you are new here, then let me welcome you to the Clips. This is a smaller portion of a much larger video that happens over on the main channel. It's a series I like to call The Week in Nerddom. This right here is the music section. We are going to be talking about music-related things, tours, new music, reacting to videos, just regular news in the music news section, all of the things. Super excited to have you here. Let's get into the news. All right, so let's not waste any more time. We have follow-ups and corrections to get to. First follow-up is Billy Corgan here in the music section. Billy Corgan, Smashing Pumpkins vocalist, has confirmed news that we kind of sort of got a couple of days ago, which is why we're not talking about the first bit, from Sharon Osbourne. Sharon was a little bit mistaken as to who exactly Billy Corgan is going to be performing with. She said that it was going to be, oh good lord, she said it's going to be Tom Morello, and I'm totally blanking on Tool's drummer's name right now because words are a thing that I don't do well with, and names even more so. But really, it's the bass player, Adam Jones. It is going to be Tom Morello, Billy Corgan, and Adam Jones. No word exactly on who's going to be playing drums or what exactly they're going to be playing. Presumably some sort of tribute to Ozzy and Sabbath and, you know, just that kind of stuff, because according to Tom Morello, according to Billy Corgan, these guys have loved Sabbath forever, except for apparently when it wasn't trendy for them to like that kind of music in the 90s, but that's just me being a little bitchy. So there's that one. And then a weird update on the Black Dahlia murder situation. So Black Dahlia, honestly, right about the time I went to film last week, which is why we haven't talked about this one yet, and technically it is a follow-up, but it's a follow-up on many levels. So, but they postponed and kind of had to cancel a couple of shows because of mental health issues. And now we have word that guitarist Brandon Ellis has left the band. It sounds like it might be amicable. So the shows that were rescheduled, now the entire rest of the tour that they're on has been rescheduled, plus the tour that they were about to start following said tour has been rescheduled. No exact dates just yet. It seems that they're looking for a replacement guitar player before they get to that situation, or before they get to that point where they're rescheduling the actual shows. As it stands right now, that is all we really have. I mean, there's statements. There's a very brief statement from the band. There's a very extensive statement from Brandon. You can find, if you follow the link in the description, you can go directly to those if either of them interest you. But again, it does sound at least amicable in a business sense. Whether or not there's something personal going on, they're doing a very good job of keeping that under wraps, behind curtains, etc., etc. So at the very least, these guys are being super professional about it. Otherwise, it sounds like it might just be an amicable split. Just no longer are their paths intertwined. So that's where we're at there. That's all we have in follow-ups and corrections, so we have new music to talk about. This week's first piece in new music is potentially the one that surprised me the most. So the band Switchfoot, I'm pretty sure, I very well am probably misremembering this, but I'm pretty sure they're the ones that did the, well, looking back at me, I can see that I never, that one. That's what I know of that band. And if that's not their single, then their single sounds something similar to that, just because they come from this, like, this grouping of 90s rock, late 90s, early 2000s into the mid 2000s, even like kind of throwback rock, I think is what they were calling them back at the time. Like Hinder is in a similar situation. Hinder is a little bit more throwbacky. I think Switchfoot had a little bit more original stuff. Anyway, so Switchfoot has released a new track. Last Man Standing is the name of the track. It's featuring none other than blues legend Buddy Guy. And this is totally not what I was expecting out of this. I was kind of expecting maybe Buddy Guy came in and sang the hook. Maybe he came in and did like a bluesy solo or something. No, this sounds like they wrote a song with Buddy Guy and we're like, you take the reins, buddy, because you're a better musician than we are, songwriter at the very least. Wow, this is a really cool track. Legitimately going into regular rotation on my playlist. Not even gonna, that's just, yeah. This is fun. Go listen to it. If you want to hear some very updated, kind of weirdly modern blues, this is a great way to go, man. And then our next one on the list is Killswitch Engage's newest single, celebrating the release of their new album. The newest single is called Collusion, and this might be the heaviest record that Killswitch has released in some time. I think I'm going to go out on a limb here and say this is probably the heaviest thing they've released since Jesse rejoined the band. Maybe even the heaviest thing they've released since End of Heartache. Or yeah, I'll put it on the same level as End of Heartache as far as heaviness is concerned. This track specifically goes hard. Like harder than I've heard Killswitch go in forever. Like this, they're definitely pulling in some more modern influences in their sound, and I'm totally here for it. And it still totally sounds like Killswitch, so please and thank you, can I have some more? And then speaking of bands who have, been around for some time, Disturbed dropped a new single this week called I Will Not Break. The guitar player said in a recent interview that they're trying to recapture, I'm going to paraphrase this, recapture the feel of their earlier material. And I think they accomplished that, but not necessarily in a great way, because the intro portion of this song feels like it was kind of copy pasted from 2 or 3 of the tracks off of the Down with the Sickness record. So, like, getting the feel for your early material, that's one thing, but just copying your early material feels a little lazy. But you get into the actual song and you hear, oh, we do have an update to the sound, and it is still heavy, on the heavier side as far as Disturbed is concerned. I'm not gonna go out on any sort of limb and call this like great by any stretch of the imagination, but it's solid. Production is very interesting. There's this new modern thing, and this is a prime example of that, where the two things that are sitting on top of the mix are the vocals and the drums. So like you kind of lose the guitars in the back a little bit and definitely lose the bass. So rock bass syndrome all over the place. But again, it's very proficiently produced and proficiently written. So like it's a proficient song, but does that make you want to go out and listen to it? Next up is one that I really did not anticipate covering at all. I didn't even know that there was a beef going on to be distributing diss tracks, but there is a beef in the weird white girl rapper arena. I don't know if necessarily Bad Baby is a white girl, but either way, like she's making music for white girls. That's really how that boils down. So Bad Baby put out a new track called Miss Whitman. Apparently, she has been going back and forth with another white girl rapper who is legitimately a white girl rapper by the name of Alabama. Alabama is Travis Barker's daughter, which is the only reason we're talking about this. That and, everybody deserves a good laugh from time to time. Oddly enough, the production on this is kind of impressive. The vocal performance, definitely is a strong vocal performer, which I did not anticipate knowing the history of who the hell Bad Baby is. For those of you that don't know, Cash Me Outside, how about that? That's Bad Baby. I did no frame of reference for the Alabama rapper girl. You can check her most recent, this is the response to Alabama's most recent track against Bad Baby. And really the only reason anyone should listen to either of these songs is if you're looking for a good laugh, because beyond that, there's really not much to be concerned with or learn from or grow or make better art. Nothing like that. This is purely spectacle. And then our final piece of new music comes from a band called Ghost Path. This is a recommendation from, I believe it was Metal Injection, because they have all of the good heaviness. So Ghost Bath, band I've never heard of. The name of the track is Rose Thorn Necklace. They are signed to Nuclear Blast Records. This track is such an interesting amalgamation of so many different things. Like, it's definitely like a death metal song. Like this band presumably makes death metal music. There are definitely some very unique blackened elements in here, but then also at points, even though we have blast beats basically throughout the entire track, there are points that feel kind of slow, and then there's also like this weird melodic element, though I wouldn't even kind of call this melodic death metal. It's just a really cool amalgamation of all these different elements in ways that you might not have heard before. So if you're looking for something fresh in your heavy music rotation, I would definitely suggest listening to Ghost Bath Rose Thorn Necklace. All right, nerds, so let's take a break real quick. New season, new sponsor. Well, not exactly new sponsor. This is technically an old sponsor. Me, I'm sponsoring myself. This season, we're going to be doing a big merch push. Don't forget the Dubby. Dubby's always great, but we have merch. We're going to be doing active merch things, sales and special items and all this stuff. Right now, there are no special items up just yet over at the Spring store. We do have random stuff on the Redbubble store, both of which are linked down below. But if you go check out the Spring store, that's where the Basic Nerd merch line is. So any of your Basic Nerd stuff that you want, basically it's all of the sections that we do the Weekend Nerddom in. So there's a gaming nerd, there's a comic book nerd, there's a music nerd, there's a TV nerd, all of the different sections, and then the split sections even. We have a gaming nerd, we have a tech nerd, we have comic book nerd, and a book nerd. All of these are up in the Basic Nerd line. And then probably roughly once a month throughout the course of this season, we're going to be doing a special shirt in each of those, the section shirts or however we're gonna sell it. I haven't worked out all of the details just yet, but we're getting there, all right? So go check out the Basic Nerd stuff. I super dig it. I think it's just the most simple way to proclaim to the world that you are nerdy in this area, or just generally nerdy, because it says generally nerdy at the back of all of these shirts, except for the zip-up hoodies say it on the chest. So yeah, go check it out. That is, I'm going to have a special, I will have things to show off soon. I need to order the individuals, the samples, and this shirt that I'm wearing right now is not currently up on the store. This is going to come back. It needs to be a little bit reworked because it still has the old logo on it. But yeah, we will be bringing back the Do You Even Pop Culture Bro shirts as a specialty item sometime throughout this season. So stay tuned for that. Go check out the merch, and let's get back to the video. Okay, so out of new music into tours and festivals. This week, starting things off, we have the announced lineup for Rocklahoma. We're not going to go through every band that's on the bill. There are a few very notable additions to the bill this year. Headliners are, where did it go? Headliners are Shinedown, Five Finger Death Punch, Breaking Benjamin, and Marilyn Manson. Other very noteworthy bands on this bill, then it happens August 29th, 30th, and 31st, which is a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, in Pryor, Oklahoma at the Rockin Red Dirt Ranch Festival Grounds. That is a mouthful of words right there. So, Knocked Loose and Flyleaf. I don't have to specify with Lacey Sturm because I don't think they're performing under the name Flyleaf otherwise these days, but Flyleaf and Knocked Loose on the same stage. That is such a weird thing for me to wrap my head around. The bill is super impressive. Like, there is so much music on here that's literally for everyone. If you like rock and or metal to any degree, there's probably a handful of bands at least on these 3 days that you will enjoy. So if you find yourself in Oklahoma at that time, maybe you want to look into getting tickets, because this is a hell of a lineup. You can go check it out. Tickets go on sale. I think they might currently be on sale. No, they go on sale tomorrow as I'm filming this. So hopefully tomorrow as you're seeing this, but oof, Lord knows what tonight's going to look like. The ticket, if you want to do a 3-day pass, those tickets, bare minimum, are going to cost you $200, and then they kind of go up from there. I couldn't find anything for like a single day pass if you just want access to the venue. I think I saw something, single day pass was like $90, but don't hold me to that. Again, you can find a link down in the description that will take you to a place where you can get tickets. And yeah, pre-sale again starts Thursday or Friday. My memory is really not serving me on this one. We just got Killswitch all over this episode. So the next piece of touring is Summer of Loud. Killswitch Engage, Beartooth, Prevail, and Parkway Drive are headlining this. On a leg of the tour, you have Devil Wears Prada and others. Devil Wears Prada is not going to be on the whole tour. They are opening the show. Well, not the opening band. I think there's at least one band that will be on before Devil Wears Prada, because this is quite a large bill. There's like 7 bands on this bill. It is a single day thing because it's a tour. But Killswitch Engage, just promoting their new record, all crazy. The tour starts June 21st in West Palm Beach, Florida, runs through July 27th in Charlotte, North Carolina. Pre-sale for tickets starts today as I am filming this, so maybe yesterday, maybe today as you're watching, I don't know. You can find a link that will take you to the pre-sale down in the description though, if you want to get those tickets. That's a very interesting lineup. Killswitch, Beartooth, Prevail, Parkway Drive, like that in and of itself. And then you throw on the Devil Wears Prada for a handful of those tour dates, and like, that's just a weird bill. Like, I'm definitely intrigued, because that I would have never put maybe Parkway Drive and Killswitch, maybe Parkway Drive, Devil Wears Prada and Killswitch would have, but like Beartooth and Prevail are not bands I would have anticipated otherwise. Anyway, so yeah, go check it out. Link again down in the description. And then we have new touring information for Pantera. Pantera just announced a tour, North American tour with Amarth. They are still doing those Metallica dates throughout the course of this year that were announced last year that we talked about before last season ended. This tour, though, is a proper tour. Those Metallica dates are kind of like 2 dates here, 2 dates there. They're just kind of a handful of dates kind of scattered. So while they're not doing that, they will be doing this. The Amon Amarth is support, like I said. The opening band, because this sounds like it is going to be just 3 bands on this bill, which, I mean, it's Pantera and Amon Amarth. That's kind of a lot to go through anyway in a single night, so it makes sense. The opening band, though, has not yet been announced. That will be announced at a future date. The tour starts July 15th in I'm not going to say this right, Burgettstown, Pennsylvania, runs through September 13th in West Palm Beach, Florida. Tickets are on sale now, so you can go get tickets to this if you want to go see Pantera. While I do understand that back when the Abbott brothers were still around, that was the real Pantera, and that was by far the better Pantera, absolutely. However, I would recommend, if you have never seen Pantera live, even with the stand-ins, this is a hell of a show. Never seen Amon Amarth live, so I can't necessarily speak to that, but I have seen Pantera live as this lineup, and it's worth the cost of entry for sure. And then our last tour and festival piece of news is a festival in Denver, Colorado called Punk in the Park. This is a yearly festival that is in a different spot every year. So this year it will be in Denver, Colorado. The headliners and bands of note on this, again, a killer lineup. If you're into the punk rocks, there's some stuff in here that's kind of punk adjacent even. There is going to be something like, there's crust punk, there's pop punk, there's gutter punk, there's all of the things, all of the punks are going to be at this show. So, Bad Religion, The Descendants, Dropkick Murphys, Streetlight Manifesto, like I said, punk adjacent, Circle Jerks, The Addicts, The Aquabats, Strung Out, Voodoo Glow Skulls, just the list goes on and on and on. Tickets are on sale currently. You can go find the link in the description, punkinthepark.com. It is the faster way to do it, I guess. July 18th, 19th, and 20th at the National Western Stockyards in Denver, Colorado. If you want to go see Punk in the Park this year, because I kind of want to go see Punk in the Park this year. That's a wicked lineup. I don't know what day I'm going to go, but I want to go to one. Anyway, that's what we got for tours and festivals. And then this music episode, or the music section for this episode rather, just is not stopping. We have some regular ass news to talk about. And I say some, we have a whole page of regular ass news. Usually the music section is 2 pages between all 4 subsections. This week, 1 whole page is the news. Yeah, okay, so regular ass news. First up, we have a quickie piece. Brian May has a new 12-string guitar from Gibson. Odds are you're probably not going to get one because only 100 of them are made. Model number is Brian May SJ200. Like I said, only 100 of them were made. It is a 12-string acoustic. It looks real pretty, but wow, there's no way. There's no freaking way that any normal human will be able to get their hands on one of these. Our next piece is super interesting. Could have, I guess, potentially gone into the tours and festivals bits, but I don't know that this one's actually going to happen. So let's talk about that. Fire Festival is making a comeback, baby. They're trying to do an actual Fire 2.0. They're calling it Fire 2.0, in spite of the fact that the first one didn't actually happen and kind of sort of kept people against their will. So yeah, there's a lot to unpack here. So June 2nd in Isla Mujeres near Cancun in Mexico, the organizers are really doing their best. Like really on screen right now. For those of you watching, if you're just listening, I'm sorry, I'm not going to read all of the text to you, but on screen right now, flashing are the pages that they've released on their Instagram account, trying to reassure people that we actually mean it this time. Sure, there's a lot more interesting here. The tickets are going to start at $14,000. I'm sorry, $1,400. It's not $14,000, $1,400. And there is a limit to the number of people that will be able to buy tickets. So that at least is kind of a good sign, because last time I'm pretty sure they just sold and took all of the money and didn't do anything. The limit is 2,000 people. 2,000 tickets will be sold. Or if you want the VIP package, this is where the crazy numbers come in. $25,000 for the VIP package. VIP package means you get to be backstage, you get to meet the acts. Who is going to be performing at Fire 2.0? We really don't know yet. That has not been announced. The fact that the festival is happening, and I say that very loosely with the air quotes, is still kind of the big news. The fact that they decided it was a good idea to announce the festival before they have acts signed and cemented in is not a good sign. Wow, they really didn't seem to learn much from the last time, did they? So as this progresses, we will be keeping tabs on it. As it stands right now, that's all we got. Oh, all right. So the next piece is very interesting. There is a new band, a new presumably metal band, because they're going to be at Download Fest this year. They call themselves President. And presumably, the band is a masked band. I say presumably because we know very little about this band. They've released a couple of things on their social medias. They do have a social media presence, though until about 3 or 4 days ago, it was very small. There's been so much going on over the course. They keep referring to their first performance, which again is going to be at Download Festival this year, which is one of the biggest festivals in the world. This is a band that has 0 fans, 0 following, 0 music out in the wild right now. They're going to be on one of the biggest festivals in the world. That's mind-blowing to me. But they keep referring to this first performance as inauguration. They're using very specific wording that not only feels presidential, but feels overly verbose to the point of trying to mock certain presidents who just got reelected. I don't know if I can say that any more clearly without just saying, I think they're trying to make fun of Trump. The way that they're going through all of these motions, the way that they're approaching the media, it sounds like maybe not, it might not be an overt, might not be like a direct mock of Trump, but it definitely feels like something to that effect, because they use a lot of cultish imagery in the very short video that they've released. There is very little music in the short video. It sounds like the intro track to a new song. So all of this would be newsworthy enough in and of itself, right? Just the fact that there's this weird new band. We have seen what I'm going to assume is their vocalist, very briefly, like 2 frames worth of the vocalist in this video, wearing a mask that kind of looks like those old like Nixon masks that you see in like the first Point Blank movie, or Point Break movie rather. Those kind of masks. It looks like an updated version of that with like more modern silicone for the face, a version of Baby Bush. So that's why everyone is assuming they're a masked band. If nothing else, the vocalist again possibly is masked and maybe the rest of the band isn't. Really interesting in concept, like all of these implications are really cool in and of themselves, but because of the mystery, that has unlocked this whole other speculative arena that the music fans are just kind of going crazy with. So people have been trying to figure out who this is with zero information. There are people who claim to have sources that know a little bit more than the average bear, that say most of this, if not all of this speculation is absolutely false, so kind of take it with a grain of salt. But the speculation that's been going around is possibly this is a new version of Ghost. This is the new iteration of Ghost, or this is some sort of new project for Sleep Token. The more kind of outlandish ones to me is Chino Moreno from Deftones, because the symbol that they use for president kind of sort of resembles the symbol that Chino uses in his other band Crosses, that there might be some sort of correlation there. Also, someone is trying to make the connection to Slipknot, because mask bands, of course, there's only so many mask bands out there, right? I mean, it's not because of the mask. It's because this is kind of an artsy thing that Sean Clown would do. So I can kind of understand it from an artistic perspective. But again, people with much better connections in the industry than I, who those connections claim to know a thing or two about the situation, say that none of that is accurate, that this is a brand new band, this is an original band. So we really will just have to wait until Download Festival. And I'm a dummy and I didn't put when Download Festival was, so I can't say it right now. But hopefully by the time I'm editing this video, assuming I've got the time, I'll put the date on the screen and we'll see it then. But man, this just has so much going on right now. You can debunk the Sleep Token connection, because if the vocalist for this is the same guy as the vocalist for Sleep Token, the hands would be very, very different, because that dude has some like freakishly troll-like hands. But then that's not the hands for the president guy. Anyway, so yeah, that's what we got on that one. Oh, this one might be my favorite piece in music, and again, just because I'm in a little bit of a bitchy mood this week, but Placebo. Placebo is in the news, the band Placebo. You may or may not recognize the name of the band, but you probably recognize their one massive hit in the States. I believe it was on a couple of movie soundtracks back in the 90s. A friend in need's a friend indeed. The friend with weed is better. That band. Those guys are in a little bit of trouble in Italy. So the reason why I'm reveling in this before we get into the actual news piece, because you need a little bit of context for this to be as funny to you as it is to me. But the reason why I'm reveling in this is because Placebo, they are a UK-based band, I believe. I believe that is accurate. I didn't write it in the notes, but I'm pretty sure they're based in the UK, if not somewhere in Europe. In spite of the fact that I'm pretty sure at least one of the two main dudes at one point either resided or comes from the United States. They have just completely disavowed the States. It's always kind of an ordeal when they're here for tours. They don't really tour in the States very often. The last time they were here, I actually had tickets to a performance, which is why I'm feeling bitchy about this one. But I had tickets to their performance, and it was a while. It wasn't like too long after COVID, but it was a good year and a half plus after everything was back to normal, after, well, new normal, I guess, after COVID. And literally, I'm driving 2.5 hours to get to this show. We get to the venue, and that's when we're told, oh, they canceled their performance tonight, which is kind of a dick move. And the reason they canceled the performance, we're told, is because the vocalist wasn't feeling it. I mean, there's a little bit more to it than that. He said he was feeling like he might be coming down with something, but they performed the next night in the next city just fine. So he wasn't coming down with something. He was just being a bitch. Anyway, so that's your context for this. They're not big fans of the States to begin with. All right. So they're in trouble in Italy They're being charged with defamation. The defamation in question was, again, vocalist Brian Molko was saying things about the Italian Prime Minister. He said, reportedly, there's no confirmation that these are the actual words, but again, they're being charged with defamation in Italy for something that they said about the Italian Prime Minister. Reportedly, that something is, they called him a, quote, piece of shit, fascist, racist, and a, quote, Nazi. So whenever you're just anywhere else in the world, basically, really, especially right now, when you say things that are just on your mind that are very negative of the government in power or something in the governing body, you're gonna get in trouble unless you're in the States. And by and large, that's kind of been proven a number of times over the course of the last couple of years, 4 years even, because we've seen people in Canada get arrested and charges brought up against them for making jokes, for singing songs at karaoke. We've seen people in the UK, all over Europe, who have been in trouble for posting memes to social media, for saying things in public. All of this, these are charges that have been brought up against people. So when you're in a country that has done this before and you do this on stage in front of thousands of people, where you have police for protection, it's probably gonna get back to the Prime Minister that you called him a Nazi. Just saying. You're not gonna get away with it. Anyway, so yeah, they're in trouble in Italy. If there are any more updates, like if they actually lose the case, if, you know, they have to go to jail. Oh, that would be so delightful. Anyway, if that happens, we'll talk about it. I don't know if I'm going to be able to find that. It's a little bit harder to find those kind of things as they're, you know, in other countries. But if I find it, we'll update you. And otherwise, let's move on. And then, yes, we have one last piece of music news, and that is the Mars Volta. This one's a really interesting one. So Mars Volta just kicked off a tour with the Deftones. We talked about it when it was announced a few months back. So now they're actually going on and doing it. Deftones did some really cool stuff. They played some songs they hadn't played in some time live. So fan service all around. And then the Mars Volta went, hold my beer. Because... and this is kind of actually going in the opposite direction of fan service, but if you're a Mars Volta fan, then it is 100% fan service, and let me explain. So the Mars Volta are kind of a crazy band. For those that don't know, it's Cedric and Omar from At the Drive-In. That is their current band, is the Mars Volta. They still do At the Drive-In stuff, mostly Nostalgia Circuit stuff. They're like creative outlet anymore is the Mars Volta. I've heard Cedric refer to their sound as Mexican prog, and then he kind of backtracked that a little bit because he said, well, actually, prog implies that we plan the things that we do, and really, we just kind of go. So that's, if you don't know the Mars Volta, that's kind of what you need to know. So, the Mars Volta, they are a very experimental band. They do these crazy things, and the most recent crazy thing at the beginning of this concert was they played an album that has never been released from front to back. And that was the only thing they played. They played, I believe it was like 18 songs. Nobody even knew they wrote a new album. They just decided, hey, you know what? Here is 18 songs you've never heard before and you didn't even know were coming, but here we go, let's just rock this shit. And they did, and it was kind of awesome. Awesome in all of the best ways, or weird in all of the best ways. Yeah, there is a link down in the description. You can go see some phone footage of it. It's just, it is right up the alley of the Mars Volta. It's kind of cool. That is what we have for regular news this week, though. Which then puts us into suggestion for the week. Suggestion for the week is, if you didn't see this one coming, again, I don't think you were listening, Killswitch Engage, and the new record is called This Consequence. It is a new album. It came out on Friday, I'm pretty sure, of last week, or it was Wednesday, and it took me till Friday to listen to anything off of it besides the singles. Again, the most unhinged stuff you have heard from KSE in a long damn time. Not just Jesse's vocal delivery, but the writing. Joel and Adam and Mike and the guys, Justin, These guys have just like, it seems like they've had something just pent up in them and they let it all go. Jesse always has something pent up in him. That's kind of why he is the awesome that he is. So he kind of stepped it up because the guys were like, well, we're gonna give you this rage-filled music. And he's like, well, I'm gonna give you these rage-filled lyrics and then we're gonna take it a step further. And that is this consequence. That is your suggestion for music this week. That brings us to the end of the video, nerds. Thank you very much for joining me for the news. Once again, there is a full and probably much more up-to-date and recent episode of the news, the full-length version, if you will, called The Week in Nerddom over on the main channel, linked down in the description, and probably link popping up somewhere around my face right about now. So click on that, go check that out as well, or if you prefer your news in more truncated pieces, then by all means, just stick around here and go check out some of the other stuff we offer on this channel. Thank you very much for joining me. We will see you in the next one. Before we go, always remember, nerds, that if it is generally nerdy, it's probably here.